Alright, I'm getting killed. That's all anyone has missed.
The windbags finally get the message.
Yay, we're back. So that was a little awkward, but apparently I need to stop telling that story, or not even story, but
Okay,
whatever it is I
so
want to talk about, I'm just not allowed to.
so what? It has something to do with loot. You know, you can have more epic gear if you have more characters. Is that the long and short of it?
You don't have to make choices, and it actually can ruin the gameplay, because having to make choices about what to keep is part of the gameplay of the Diablo series. So if you can keep everything that ever drops that might possibly be good, then you lose out on some of the experience. And so if you can just buy characters, and characters come with their own space, even though it's not part of the stash, you can just theoretically save everything if you just want to spend enough money.
Right.
But they can still get around that. Like, you know, you can buy character slots, but not more than 5 or 10 more. You know,
Right.
it's still going to be enough for most people.
Or you could buy weapon storage.
After all that.
Although
But that's
multiple
exactly what they
characters,
want to avoid doing.
multiple character spots would be more
And now
useful.
ain't nothing left for nobody down at Cinderbrick Fort.
And what you're describing is exactly what I think they want to avoid doing. They don't want to turn the purchase into just more storage space.
Kid shows up just as Zulf's telling me about his own journey to the city. Seems the only thing the Calamity saved for Zulf was a smoking pipe. Poor kid collapses after just
I agree, Wipod. Whoops.
Of course, I immediately got high. I mean,
You're not just high, you're smashed.
I'm
the
smashed.
past.
Oh
Only
my
good thing ever
gosh.
come out of the past is
Who knows
history.
where?
Jam, are you still here? Are you listening to my puns now? Now you're listening to them, not just reading them. Wipod says that he'd be okay with Blizzard doing that because someone else buying extra space doesn't affect his enjoyment of the game. And that's a very, very fair point. But Blizzard actually cares very deeply about your enjoyment of the game and wants to make sure that they don't do things to you that would cause you to actually enjoy the game less. That's one of the reasons why they got rid of the real money auction house. People who didn't want the real money auction house never had to use it. But they still had to take it out because there was so much incentive to use it to get the best gear quickly that it was detrimental to the gameplay for everyone, even if it wasn't something that
Hardly had a moment's rest
had
until
to be
this
done.
started.
So, and Jam, I'm very happy that I can make things extra entertaining for you.
So I guess my question is,
for certain values of entertaining.
in what way does the real money auction house hurt someone who doesn't want to use it?
Oh wow, I've got audio now that I didn't have before. What's going on? Oh, okay. Okay, no, never mind. It has nothing to do with the stream. What way does the real money auction house hurt someone who has using the real
Who is not using it? Who doesn't care about it?
doesn't care about it? Maybe
What was that saying?
Oh no, I'm dead again.
the way that it can hurt them is that the access to gear that is good enough is
He
restricted.
never knew his old man.
So because the real money auction house was a thing,
Frail thing with pure
good
white
gear
hair like
had to drop infrequently. Otherwise, what's the point? If good gear dropped frequently, then there was no need to ever do any kind of transacting except on the extreme margins. So the gameplay was designed around really good gear being very, very hard to find. So if you're playing on your own and you're not using the real money auction house, then you're probably not using gear that is good enough to play the game at any kind of high level, let alone at the highest level. you're not going to be able to beat the game on the hardest difficulty, let alone be one of the best players in the game.
This stream sucks.
We suck? That's what I heard.
This dream sucks.
Oh.
The kid needs a therapist.
This stream sucks.
No, this kid needs a therapist, man. Ugh. This better not be a puzzle. I didn't sign up for puzzles. Oh, I get it. I get it now. I get it now. I have to land on the stupid ball. God. Have a ball. I'm just gonna smash it with my hammer. Fine.
Having his mama's hair favors while he was growing up.
Whatever.
Hold his own out there.
16 reflections remain.
School ain't working out, so the kid signs up for a turn on the rippling wall.
So speaking of free-to-play, as StarCraft 2 has gone, we also have the fact that Clicker Heroes developer, Playful... It's not right. Whoever they are, I don't know, have decided that they are abandoning the free-to-play model for Clicker Heroes 2. They're going to charge for it.
There's something
Yes, they're gonna charge 30, I think.
Let me take it from the top.
Yeah, $30 for the game, which is obviously a lot less than some people have spent on Clicker Heroes, but it's far more than I've paid on it, and far more than I know a lot of other people have. And it's one of the issues. They wrote a really excellent blog piece about why they were doing this. That sort of encapsulates some of their thought processes in this, that it's damaging to have people who spend thousands of dollars on your game to make up for the fact that some people don't pay anything, like me. And that's not good for people who pay thousands of dollars. They're not likely getting thousands of dollars worth of gameplay out of it.
Well, and they probably have a problem.
They probably have a problem. And I sent you that article, Kotaku, I think, was researching it, and the guy showed up on Reddit and said he'd spent $10,000 on free-to-play games and had the bank account status to prove it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, it was
so obviously that's a lot of money.
And he said it was over the course of several years, and it didn't in any way harm him in the sense that he got into debt or was spending money he should have spent on food or whatever. But he said even so, he still considers himself to have a gambling addiction, and he considers those games triggering to his gambling addiction. So
right, and he was doing this on like a Taco Bell income. He was not a person who was making $100,000 a year and happening to spend $10,000 of those dollars over 2 or 3 years on games.
Yeah.
Man, but he had his mama to take care of.
Yeah.
Frail thing with pure white hair like his.
I've said that, you know, I'm not sure where the ethics lie in terms of what the responsibility is for someone to prevent you from purchasing their product. And so I think...
Well, let me just also clarify that this is the ethics lesson coming from the person who smashed the Ash child. So
yeah. In terms of full
but no,
disclosure,
I think your point is right.
I should probably also say that I do own a business that, without getting into specifics, does partially run on what could be considered a microtransactions. So, take...
Without your whales, you'd be in trouble.
So
Not really in trouble. You'd
we've-
have other options, but you would not make nearly the money you would on.
we've
on this
discussed the 80-20,
venture.
where about 80% of my income comes from about 20% of my customers. So if you want to call that 20% whales, I mean, we can. But we're not talking about...
Tens of thousands of dollars.
Right, per person. Maybe once or twice someone has spent an amount of money with me that I questioned whether I was enabling a problem over the years. And in the end decided it wasn't my business. But, you know, I also have the right to refuse service to anyone I want to refuse service to. So I can make it my business if I want to. And the Clicker Heroes people have decided to make it their business and limit how much money people can spend with them. And it's now $30, right?
Right. You cannot spend more than $30, but you also essentially can't spend less than $30.
Right.
He had done his time. He hurried on.
And I wasn't going to go this way, but it segues really well with what you just said, that you have the right to refuse them service. We're having a real debate about that right now, about whether or not we can refuse service because of something going to the Supreme Court today. They heard arguments about whether or not a cake baker can refuse service under certain circumstances. And we can certainly refuse to do things that are harmful to people. And that's what you have to sue here. You're going to say, I'm not going to sell this to you because I think it's going to be harmful to you. You go into a bar and you are clearly inebriated and they're not going to sell you a drink.
No.
Even if you come in and say, well, you're just not selling it to me because I'm black or because I'm a minority or because I'm gay. That doesn't work. They're not selling it to you because you're drunk.
Well,
but it does put the business owner in a difficult position because eventually you're going to have to demonstrate that that's the reason why. And that's probably a heavy subject to bring up when you're fighting three really nasty
seriously. This is really because it's complicated.
It's a tough subject, but it's also a pretty tough fight. I think you can get out of it.
Yeah, I should go back to Bastion next time I die because I'd rather not have some of these weapons and things. But
these are hard sections of the game. This is like side questing almost. This is not necessary. But it does give you a lot of flavor on the characters.
I think at the most basic level, a business owner's responsibility is to provide a quality product at a fair price. And the price and its fairness will be determined by the quality of the product. So there you go.
Well,
now
the price is dictated by the market.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, it can be if the business owner's like, I want to squeeze every last penny out of as many people as possible, then they'll price for what the market can support. But you risk in doing that, creating a situation where you have ill will amongst customers, which then leads to them not thinking about you when they're thinking about where to spend money. Which I think is where you're running into. Let's take Star Wars Battlefront 2 as an example. People are pissed as hell about how that game handled microtransactions to the point where Disney had to step in and talk to EA about the property.
It's like, guys, you can't use our IP like this because you're giving us a bad reputation. And we got a movie coming out next month. That's
exactly.
not cool.
And EA lost some shocking amount of billions of dollars in stock value over the course of a month, and industry insiders think it's due largely to the negative press surrounding Battlefront 2. So you can go too far if your goal is to push to the very extreme edge. You know,
well, the difficult role of the CEO is that they are called to maximize profits. But what does that mean?
He
Is
never
that
knew his
a
old man,
short-term
but he had his mama to
maximization?
take care of. Frail thing with pure white hair
Yeah,
like
I
you.
mean, it depends on the type of stock owners that you have, actually, I think. Right? So, if the people you
I'm back
sell
now.
your...
Okay, sorry.
It depends on the people you're selling your stock to. And what they want out of life. You know, take Amazon stockholders, for example. They never make any money. That company is, what, yet to turn a profit? I mean, they make
No,
money.
they started turning
They
profit
did.
quite a while ago, but
Okay.
especially early on, they were definitely
for like the
not
first,
making a profit.
For the first decade
10
or
years.
so, yeah, they didn't make any money at all. Oh yeah, because
Having his
Bezos
mama's
is now the
hair
richest
did
man
kid
in the
no
world.
favors while he was growing up.
So because
But
of
he's the
his
richest man in the world because of his stock
stock
options.
options, right? So he's rich, but also none of it's real, and you know whatever money is dumb. But
I'm going to just say I disagree with you there.
that money is dumb.
Money is not dumb.
No, real money is not dumb. I'm actually just gonna commit suicide. This is taking a really long time.
Suddenly it's hard to die.
It's so hard to die. Oh no. Ugh. Come on, guys. You can do better than this. Alright, I'm gonna kill you so you can give me some better enemies. When Jesus gave up. A lesser known
Like,
part
guys?
of the Bible.
Make his mama some money.
The J1000 got tired.
Past don't matter for nothing now.
Back to the
Garden
Bastion.
of Gethsemane.
Get smashing. Ideally, you maximize profits while maintaining customer goodwill such that you can do business for a number of years. And I think
Indefinitely.
and I think there are some companies that have tried over the years to do this and succeeded, and there's companies that have tried over the years to do this and haven't succeeded. And then there's companies that just don't give a shit, I think. And examples would be Steam, I think. I mean, not that it's publicly traded, but in terms of do you care if your customers are happy? They don't. EA, they probably don't care as much as they should. When you consider how much their stock has shot up over the years, the recent years, it's clearly about short-term gains. You know, I mean, and with technology, it's hard because all the companies are new, right? Relatively speaking.
Right. Well, corporations and companies in general are pretty hard to tell. You get to some of the oldest companies that are in the world, and you're talking like GE. Like GE is a really old company.
Right.
They're over 100 years old. That's old. But okay, well, over 100 years is really not that old in the grand scheme of things.
Well, let's give it a couple examples of really old companies. Fiskars. Most people know them for making scissors. That company is 400 years old, and they have survived. They used to make swords, and they have survived by changing what they make. And so they've adapted and made blades of all kinds all through the years. So they made plows, they've made threshers, they've made swords, they've made knives, they make scissors now, you know.
And they're really
just-
high quality scissors.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is a company that, and it still has a ton of goodwill. People recognize Fiskars mostly as a pretty decent brand, and they continue to buy their products.
Another really old company, also sort of a tech company, and something that sort of fits in our market niche here is Nintendo.
Nintendo, yeah.
They're a really old company, and they started by making playing cards.
And they have tremendous customer goodwill. And they do seem to be the odd duck amongst the console makers in terms of caring about people over profit. And I mean, full disclosure, there may be a bias here in the sense I know someone who works for Nintendo, so I hear a lot about their company philosophy, you know, and it is very family oriented and child oriented, family friendly, sort of make everyone happy compared to say Sony or Microsoft. But I just think that video game companies have, made a big deal over the years about how the price of games has never changed in like 40 years. And we should all be really grateful for that. But it's just not true. Games cost
No,
more now. It's just they don't cost everybody the same, you know?
and we've talked a little bit about this, and I've blogged about it extensively. There is market segmentation going on in digital products that far exceeds physical products. And as a pro-market kind of guy, I'm generally in favor of that. I think it is for the benefit that if someone wants to pay more for something, they should be allowed to, especially if it gives other people who want to pay less the benefit of being able to pay less.